Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling, and really appreciate you guys swinging by the channel to hang out with me for a little bit on the video. We're going to be talking about something, guys, I've been wanting to do a video on for a while, and that is about 25 to probably 40% of the bass anglers just cannot wrap their head around this concept that I'm talking about that is a reality in fishing. So I want to get into that in today's video, and hopefully if you're one of the 25 to 40% out there that that are having a difficult time really understanding what we're talking about, you might come away after this video with a little bit better understanding of that. So that's the topic of today's episode. Also, guys, a big thank you out there. Just wanted to extend a thank you to everybody that's taken time to hit that subscribe button here at Intuitive Angling. Really appreciate the support there. Also, thanks everybody that's been using all the links I put in the description. There's a bunch of links I put in every video description, guys. It's a good way to support the channel if you guys are inclined to support Intuitive Angling here. So really appreciate that. Okay, let's talk a little bit about this, what a lot of dudes out there can't really wrap their head around or have a difficult time incorporating into the whole spectrum of fishing. And that is, you don't want to know everything about the bass. You have got to have the unknown present in bass fishing out there. You don't ever want to get to a point in your bass fishing or have an attitude in the bass fishing that you want to learn everything there is to learn about bass. Because when you do that, you take away one of the most important elements of bass fishing, and that is the mystery of the sport. The unknown and the mystery is what is powerful in the sport of bass fishing. Now, the thing about this is, like, you can discover things about bass fishing through fishing, and that's okay. It's like, let's take, for example, bass living out in the middle of the lake. I've known about this forever because, I've got friends, I've talked to old dudes out there that troll for white bass, that have caught largemouth bass and spotted bass trolling out in the middle of the lake. The original spoon plugger, Buck Perry, back in the 60s and 70s was a big troller, and he caught a lot of big fish out in the middle of the lake. So I've always known that the fish live out in the middle of the lake. And it hasn't been until the advent of forward-facing sonar that people have exploited those particular fish, and they're learning more and more and more about the habits of fish that are offshore. You don't want that, guys. That is something that is diminishing your experience in fishing. It's like when you start discovering everything where nothing's new and nothing's fresh and there's no mystique in fishing, it diminishes the sport. It diminishes the value of the sport. And I have talked to some of the most intelligent people that I have ever met in my life that just happen to like to fish. Now, some of these dudes are trout fishermen, some of them are bass fishermen, some of them are cat fishermen. They all say the same thing. The most intelligent anglers I have ever met, they don't want to know it all. They do not want to know what's out there. They want to keep it an unknown, because that is the PowerPoint of fishing in general, is the unknown. Now, let's say, for example, and a lot of people, again, this is what the 25 to 40% can't wrap their mind around. Let's say you and I are fishing together, and we just got two-dimensional sonar on our boat. We don't have anything fancy, and we pull up to a main lake point that looks good. Let's say this is a nice-looking rocky point. Maybe the wind's blowing on it just right. Everything looks really good to it. And as we roll up on that point, we don't know if there's anything there. We can speculate. It looks good. Everything, by all indications, like next to deep water, everything's lined up, and it looks like there's a good chance that there might be a fish living there, but we don't know. The only way that we're going to know if there's fish there is to fish to find them. We got to fish to locate the fish if there's any fish on that particular point. Now, that anticipation, as you and I roll up on that point, we have no idea what's there. It's like, oh my God, there could be a gigantic school of bass on that point. There might be one bass on that point. There might not be any bass on that point. But you have this sense of wonderment and anticipation of the unknown that creates this excitement in fishing. Okay, now let's say, for example, you go with somebody else that's a spotlighter, and they don't understand the whole concept of fishing to find fish. They're not going to fit. They're one of the dudes out there that they don't fish unless they see a fish on their cheater box. So they roll into the same point, and instead of like rolling up on this point with anticipation of not knowing what's there and having to fish and figure out the lures they want and figure out the depth that the fish are going to be at on that point. They roll up on their point. They fan the entire point with their cheater box transducer, and they say, well, there's nothing there. Let's go on to the next one. What is that? I mean, what is that? Is not fishing. Is that, do you consider that something rewarding and satisfying, that you have just reduced the sport of fishing to some type of a commercial venture where, if you don't see anything on your electronic units, you're not even going to fish for them? If you can't comprehend how messed up that is in terms of the overall sport of fishing, then your worldview has not been presented to you in the correct way. I mean, you've had some type of a colored viewpoint on there, because one of the things about fishing is not about catching fish. Catching fish is part of it. It's like a bonus of fishing, and everybody loves to catch fish and get to bite and catch fish, but it has to do with the way that you do it. It's the same with like when you're in school and you're taking a test. It's like, if you study hard for that test and you do your dirt time and you do your book work and you get a good grade on that test, there is a sense of accomplishment and achievement and the benefit to you having to actually be disciplined enough to work to do well on that test that makes everything just great. That's the process that it should be. But let's say, for example, you cheat on that test. You've got some type of a, some type of notes or something you've hidden, or you figured out some way to beat the system, and you can cheat a little bit on that test or using whatever. What good is that going to do you? That's not going to benefit you as a human on any level. It's not going to benefit your integrity, your intelligence, your quality and character as a person. So it has to do with how you play the game. And in the sport of bass fishing, one of the things that has been normalized in the sport of bass fishing is cheating to find fish. And guys, using forward-facing sonar is cheating. I don't care what anybody says. You can call it's legal cheating, simply because we all know why it's been put in place there. But nevertheless, when you are on the water and you have to rely on something that is going to show you where the fish are at without even having to fish, and the fact that you're not even going to fish unless you see a fish there, do you not understand how that is not right in the bigger picture of fishing? So I just want to encourage everybody out there. It's the way that you play the game. And you never want to lose sight of that wonderment and the mystery and the magic of fishing. And I know there's 25% of the people out there that simply can't comprehend that. They goof and they say, oh, your foo-foo feelings and mood and just, the unknown and the mystery and the magic. They just say that's a bunch of crap. I just want to freaking, boat flip 7-pounders. I don't give a crap about anything else. Guys, I really feel sorry for you if you're like that, because you've missed out on such a incredible aspect of what bass fishing always is, that always has been there. It's always been there up into the advent of forward-facing sonar. Now, yeah, we've had technological advancements like 2D sonar and different type of stuff, side imaging, that can show you fish, but it does not show you fish in live image time. It doesn't show you fish reacting to your lures. It doesn't have the technological advancements that has crossed the line in the sand as far as in terms of something that starts taking away from the sport. So I just encourage everybody to take a step back and just enjoy that wonderment and the mystery and magic in fishing. Guys, one of the most incredible trips I ever had is Jerry McInnes was a good friend of mine, with the Fishing Hole and, part owner and Bassmaster forever. And we fished together several occasions. And one of the best trips I ever had with him is he took me down to the White River. He had a house on the White River, and we floated the White River together in one of his river boats. And it was nothing but just the purity of being out in nature and the quiet of floating down that stream with no technology whatsoever. All we had was, little bitty Rapala on a spinning tackle and a fly rod, and just really enjoying that wonderment of being out on the water and looking up in front of you and seeing some current eddies and seeing some breaks and just wondering if there's going to be fish there. We had no idea. It's like we'd be coming up on a deep pool, and it's like, oh my God, we're in this deep pool. There's no telling what's going to be here. That is powerful. Don't ever lose sight of that. And if you're one of the anglers out there that has lost sight of that, just try it next time. Instead of going out there, take your cheater box off, leave it at home, and go out there and approach that main lake point from the perspective I told you about not knowing what's there. And just see if you have some type of an internal shift within inside of you that resonates more powerful than, just, having an umbilical cord tied to your electronic unit that's either going to show you fish or not fish. So I know some of you guys out there, I know, like I said, the majority of the people can completely relate to just what I'm talking about. And I know there's 25 to 30% of you guys out there that just cannot, your mind is unable to comprehend what I'm talking about there, but maybe this will help some of you to start, looking at it the right way. So anyway, guys, hope you guys are well. We'll talk later.